great about that, other than trying to help people who are in a state of invasion.
Top of the morning to you, all you lads and lassies. How are you today on this St. Patrick's Day? Welcome to the Immigration Answers Show. This is episode number 788 of the Immigration Answers Show. I'm your host, James Oliver Hacking III, all the way from County Kerry in Ireland. How is everybody? Welcome to the show. Good to see you guys. I just got out of immigration. Today is March 17th. And this is episode number 788 of the Immigration Answer Show. Thank you for that, Hina. I appreciate it. How is everybody? Good to see you all on TikTok. Good to see you all on YouTube. Sorry for the short notice. I wasn't sure how long I was going to be in immigration. We did end up waiting almost an hour to get in to see the officer. That seems to be the norm these days, especially if you get like a 10:30, 11 o'clock interview. You end up going in a little late. My colleague Tim got a little under the weather, so he asked me to cover. And I swung into action, got my butt down to USCIS, and hopefully got ourselves a new U.S. citizen. We'll find out. Some interesting things I noticed while I was there. The officer had a big sticker on her monitor that said, "Get cards, get cards." And I wasn't sure exactly what that meant until she asked my client if he had his old EADs, which was interesting. So it seems like USCIS is thinking about all those old employment authorization documents that people had. And if you have them and you have your green card, bring them to your interview. You'll make USCIS happy if you give them those old EADs back. Looks like something that in their combating fraud plan, that's on their plan. So if you want to make them happy, do that. Also noticed that the officer did not put her name on the form. She put Officer 15, which I thought was interesting. She put an officer number instead of the name. It makes it hard to write a letter to USCIS or to ask for help when you have to ask for Officer 27. But of course, that's why they're doing it. Didn't notice much else that was different down there, other than slow as usual. But I got the officer I wanted, and she's the officer that's been there the longest. So I think everything went just fine. All right, let's go ahead. Now remember, we talk anonymously on here. We don't necessarily talk about ourselves. We talk about our friend Abdullah or our sister Mary or whatever, right? We don't necessarily talk about ourselves. We also don't use our last name. So I'm going to be editing some people's names on the display. And we will knock out as many immigration questions as we can. Good to see everybody. Let's see who's here. Roy is here. Hope is here on the quick turnaround. Maggie's watching from New Jersey, saying hi to everyone. Christine is here. Minnie, hello. Nurse Laura is here. AJ says he didn't get the text. I sent it. I think it went through. Did the others get the text? I think it did. It was last minute. It was just in the last 15 minutes. I think I got the text. Titanic Love is here. Paige from Florida. Ms. B. Paige Newton is here. We got St. Kitts in the house. That would be fun if we had a leprechaun. That would be funny if we had a leprechaun join us. That would be fun. He'd have to get a visa, though. Marvelous. Hello. Natalie. ZNS. Annie. Cletha. The waiting room is full. Yes, indeed. Was the officer cool and calm? Yeah, she's pretty chill. She asked a lot more questions than she usually does. ZNS says, yeah, they asked for my old cards after I became a citizen in February. I mailed those to them. I guess they don't want other people using them is the thing. All right. TLT is here. Hello, Terry. Good to see you. All right. Let's talk to Kelton. Hello, Kelton.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. Not too bad. So I had a question about my wife. She came in on humanitarian parole. I know that a lot of that has been put on pause. I haven't really seen anything official from the USCIS. What is the likelihood of her adjustment of status getting approved?
So have you filed?
We have.
So what country is she from?
Nicaragua.
So USCIS issued a memo on February 14th saying to pause processing of all of those applications. So in other words, any benefits filed by people like your spouse who have married a U.S. citizen and filed for adjustment of status. Okay.
Okay.
So what that means is USCIS is still receiving those cases, but they're not going to approve them. Now, I was working on a lawsuit to challenge that, but some people from the National Action Center, a great set of attorneys over there, they have already filed a lawsuit
Okay.
in federal court to challenge that pause. So what I would say is right now your spouse's case is on pause. You're going to get sort of freaked out here pretty soon because they're going to say that they're revoking those paroles that were granted to people from Nicaragua.
Okay.
And so you're just going to have to wait to see how that case makes its way through the courts, and then we go from there.
Is there anything official from USCIS, or was it only through that we found out through that CBS news article?
So the day after that CBS, you're asking all the right questions. The day after the CBS article came out, USCIS has confirmed that that memo is in place, so it's official. They just haven't. They just haven't yet. Our office and other offices have sent requests under the Freedom of Information Act for a copy of that report. And my understanding is that a lawsuit was actually filed last week to get a copy of that Andrew Davidson February 14th memo.
Okay, so it's just a report that they haven't released yet. Gotcha. Right. Okay. Yeah, because currently I have an immigration lawyer. Don't really think he's super great, unfortunately. He had no information on this, had no idea.
Yeah, well, there's nothing, I mean, this is all just from news stories and stuff. And, I mean, Kelton, I did a presentation for these international student advisors on Friday, and I finished my slides on Thursday at 2. And when I got up in the morning on Friday, I had to add 2 more slides because things kept changing. And if I was doing the presentation today, I'd have to do 2 more slides. So it's very fast paced. There's nothing really your lawyer can do other than monitor that case. And if you want, I can send you a copy of the lawsuit. If you email me, I can send it to you.
Okay. Would that just go to your info?
Yeah, just say info. I'm Kelton, and Jim asked me to email him about that lawsuit, and then I'll send you a copy.
Okay, perfect. And then my other question was, because everything's on pause, is that also mean that her potential work authorization would be paused also?
Yes, that's on purpose. Yes.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, if that's what this was for. Okay, because she has a valid one that's valid until the end of June. We were just hoping to be able to get another one while her case is being processed before then, but it sounded like that probably won't occur.
That's right. And they might even revoke that one that she has through till June.
Oh, is there a potential for that?
If they revoke parole, I don't think it's much of a jump to see them revoke parts that go along with it.
And then are they able to revoke her parole even before it expires?
So that's the $1 million question. That's what's at the heart of that lawsuit that I mentioned. They're challenging whether USCIS has the ability to retroactively revoke parole that was properly granted, and I don't think they do. But the Trump team now is just like, we're going to do what we want. You can come and sue us, and now they're not even paying attention to what the judges say.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Okay. Well, that answers that question. Okay. All right. So just basically steps forward is just hang tight until we're able to figure out kind of where the lawsuits go.
Yep.
Okay. And then the lawsuit that was filed, is that kind of for everyone that's on humanitarian parole?
Yeah, you're actually in that lawsuit, even though they haven't hired you, you haven't hired them or anything. It's a class action. Yep.
Oh, gotcha.
Technically, at some point in the future, you'll have the ability to opt out and bring your own case, but I don't think right now you need to do that. I would just let them do their thing. I had a long meeting with them last week. They totally know what they're doing. They're pros at this. They're the ones that actually stopped. I don't know if you remember with parole, the attorneys general from the red states brought an action in Texas about that. And these people are the ones that were able to keep those attorney generals from winning and stopping parole back in the summer last year.
Gotcha. And then was there any sort of reasonable time frame that they were looking at for that lawsuit, or is that just kind of up in the air at this point?
Well, so interestingly, unlike your wife's case, there are some cases where people won the diversity visa. And if you win the diversity visa, that's great. But if you don't get your green card by September 30th of that fiscal year, then it's as if you were never selected. So those people have, I think, a greater sense of urgency than your case right now. Now the lawyers are going to challenge it on behalf of everybody. But in order to, they're going to be, I think they're going to be asking for, in the complaint, they ask for injunctive relief. So they're going to eventually, sometime soon, ask a judge, like all these other judges that are stopping Trump, they're going to ask the judge to make USCIS begin processing these cases again and to declare that what they're doing is illegal. And if they're smart, when I did my FOIA, I also asked for more. Are there any other secret policies that they have? Right? We only know about this because that somebody released it to that CBS reporter, and Kristi Noem says she's going to start giving lie detector tests to people that work there to see if they're talking to reporters. So it's effing nuts. It's freaking East Germany in 1973 right now is what we're dealing with. It's nuts.
And then are they legally allowed to have policies, in your opinion, like this that are kind of not out in the open, that they're kind of doing backwardsingly to keep people out of the country?
Backwardsingly, I love that's a great analogy. Yes, I believe it's all illegal. I think it should all be enjoined. Now, the Muslim ban and the travel ban that's coming, I think that's different because the Constitution and federal law gives the president almost complete discretion on who he or she lets into the United States. Okay. So that's different. But whenever a agency, whether it's the IRS, the Department of Labor, or anybody else, wants to change the rules on how things are processed, they have to file the notice of the new rule and the new approach, and they have to let people comment on it, and it has to be public. You can't have secret memos on what if they just said, we don't want to process any more cases for anybody from Germany, or we don't want to process any more cases for people from China. If Congress has passed a law that says they are supposed to process your wife's case, in my mind, they don't have the authority to unilaterally declare, well, we don't like how she entered, so we're not going to process this. That's just not how they're allowed to do it.
Yeah. In your mind, what you're saying is they're not able to retroactively remove or say retroactively, we don't like this.
Yeah, now I haven't spent nearly as much time looking at that because my lawsuit was going to be very limited. My lawsuit was going to be very limited to only the February 14th, hey, we're not working on these cases anymore. Their stuff's a lot broader. So I haven't dug in on whether the president has the ability to retroactively revoke parole that was granted, but I don't see how it could be.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, that answers all my questions. I appreciate that. Super.
Great call. Thanks, Kelton.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Bye, buddy.
Bye.
Yep. All right, Hina, we'll want to add that one to the podcast. That was very informative, and I got to hit on some of my favorite topics. So thank you, Kelton, for that. All right, let's go to Kali. Hi, Kali.
Hey, good morning. Well, good day.
Yes, for sure.
I have a question where my wife, her last name on all her documents, social security card, tax forms, all that ID, she uses her mom last name on all of those documents. But for some reason on her birth certificate, it has her dad's last name for her last name. So I'm wondering, when submitting all the documents to USCIS, will that be an issue, considering it's basically going to show two different last names?
Is she from a Latin American country?
No. Well, she's an American citizen.
Oh, she's the U.S. citizen?
Yeah, and she's petitioned for me to marriage base.
She was born in the United States?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Oh, that's not a problem?
Yep.
All right, so I don't need to take any additional steps when submitting the documents?
No.
No? All right, thank you so much, man. That's what I want you to know.
See you, buddy, for sure. That was easy. Nicholas has some good news. Hello, Jim. I exposed my case in your show a couple months ago. I just wanted to say that I became a citizen last Wednesday. I received a dual interview notification for N400 and I-751. Congratulations, Nicholas. That's great. We'll add you to the list. Let's add Nicholas to the list, Tina, please, to our list of 10,000 people that we're trying to get 10,000 new citizens done by the end of 2030. So if you feel like we helped you, let us know and we can add you to the list. Thank you, Nicholas, and congratulations. We're happy for you. I was talking to my client today about how some places naturalize you on the same day, and that's just so great. I wish more offices would let you naturalize on the same day as your interview. Let's see what TikTok has to say. 7 wants to know, do you think they'll start doing interviews for I-751s? Yes, I do. I don't think it's top of their list right now, but I think it's coming. Sahib Walia, I went to my U.S. citizenship test. They asked me a few questions. Then they called my wife for a few questions. Uh-oh. Few questions didn't match. They didn't decide my case yet. What's the possibility? Well, possibilities are they approve your case, your 751, and then they approve your N400. They could deny your 751, and then your N400 automatically is denied. I'd be worried about the questions not matching. And I'm wondering what those were. So if you want to come over to YouTube and talk to me about it, we can. The pretty nurse Nay says, can I file for my stepchild if I already put in the I-130 application for my husband in February? Yes, you sure can, and you should, because it's going to take a really long time for that kid to get here, especially if they're getting close to 21. Silken says, I applied for removal of conditions now. Should I apply for citizenship in 1 year if I don't hear back? 100% yes. And Silken, I have videos on the YouTube channel explaining exactly what our thinking is on that. I probably talk about that more than anything else. So I would say full steam ahead. As soon as you're eligible, file that bad boy for the N400, unless there's problems with the marriage. That's the only reason why you wouldn't want to file the naturalization case. You'd want to let removal of conditions work itself out. And then after that, you would apply for citizenship probably under the 5-year rule if there's problems with the marriage. Sunshine is here. Hello. Sunshine's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. That's what I'm saying. Bill Withers. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. What a great song that is. I wonder where Sunshine left, but we lost our sunshine. It's sunny here in St. Louis. Sai is here. Hello, Sai.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I have a friend. We have a situation. He was arrested like 1.5 years ago for drugs possession charge. There were total 5 counts.
For what?
2 of them for a drugs possession charge, controlled substance charge.
A what?
A controlled substance charge.
Controlled substance charge. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There were total 5 charges, but 2 of them were felonies. But then after that, his visa was revoked. He was on a F1 visa. And then the court dismissed the case entirely. It was a voluntary dismissal. There was no plea at all. It was a voluntary dismissal by the DA. And then now he got his H1B visa, and he's planning to go for stamping. Given that the case was a complete dismissal, what do you think the situation might be at a consulate?
Wait, this person left the United States?
Not yet. He's planning to go for visa stamping.
Why?
It's for H1B visa stamping.
He will never be allowed back in the United States.
Okay. But the case was dismissed, right?
He won't be allowed back in the United States for the next 3 years and 10 months.
Okay. Oh, because of the new administration?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Even
under Laken Riley, they're saying an arrest can keep you. I mean, and even if Joe Biden were president, if you're telling me that someone got arrested with a crapload of controlled substances where there was 5 charges, 2 of which were felonies, the fact that it was dropped would mean nothing to a visa officer as to whether or not they're going to let this person come back to the United States.
Oh, even with the court document saying it is dismissed.
That's right. Even Joe Biden will let that person come.
Okay, sir. Okay, thanks. That's what I wanted to know. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Sai. All right. Sunshine says that she couldn't hear me, and she wanted to ask if the Laken Riley Law Act is retroactive. Well, the thing about the Laken Riley Act is all it really says is that if an immigrant who is here without a green card or without citizenship, is on some kind of a visa, if they come into contact with law enforcement through a burglary charge or a shoplifting charge or a DUI, that if they come into contact with law enforcement, that law enforcement and they should alert ICE, and ICE should go get that person right away. It's not that different than what the law already was. It's just that they want them to do that more. So they want there to be more cooperation between local police. So the question isn't whether it's retroactive. The question is whether this old crime that I had is something that's going to render me subject to deportation. And I think the answer to that question is yes. So it's not so much that it's retroactive. It's that anybody is fair game right now, if that makes sense. That's how I would answer that. Robert says Trump's not leaving ever. He might be right. What do I know? I'm just taking it one day at a time, brother. I know you like to remind me of that, but really it just bums me out. But I think you're probably right. They're going to try it. I don't know. It seems like a pretty seismic shift, but I mean, they're not. I'm more concerned about them not obeying the law and judges. I mean, basically what happened on Saturday was the ACLU was ready. There was 5 Venezuelans who were getting ready to be put on a plane to El Salvador. Then ICE put a bunch of other Venezuelans on planes to El Salvador, and the judge ordered the planes to turn around, and Homeland Security basically ignored the judge and went ahead and dropped them off in El Salvador. So they're now at the stage where J.D. Vance wants them to be, which is to tell the federal courts, what are you going to do about it? You're going to have the U.S. Marshals throw us in contempt? Well, the U.S. Marshals work for us. They're fucking thugs. They're thugs. They think this is a tin pot country where the laws don't matter. It's the chief judge of the D.C. District Court. I think you're going to see Trump getting pounded in the courts, especially in D.C., for months to come. These federal judges, they might not have guns to make people do what they want, but they have lots of ways to make things painful. Laura thinks Donald Trump won't live that long. I think he's absolutely unhealthy as can be. Goostone is here. Hello, Goostone.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. What's up?
So on Friday, I received an email that they scheduled me for an interview for my marriage-based green card.
Okay.
And that would be April 17th. Now,
Okay.
unfortunately, my wife can't be present that day. So I have 2 questions. First of all, is rescheduling risky?
Why can't your spouse be there?
She's in nursing school. She has this clinical data. If she misses, she's not going to graduate in May, and she has to take a whole semester just for one course.
I would say that USCIS will put you on the fraud list if she doesn't come to the interview.
So if I ask to reschedule, do you think they're not going to approve it?
I think they're gonna do a site visit, and they're gonna think that this marriage isn't real.
And okay, and let's say if they do approve it, that can delay the case for months, right?
Yeah.
I understand. And then another question. So my wife is pregnant, but we haven't told USCIS yet. Do you think we should upload that as unsolicited evidence?
I would just bring that to the interview. Since you know you're having an interview, I would stop uploading stuff. I would start printing stuff out, new stuff to bring to the interview.
Okay, so just take it to the interview.
You know, you could, in theory, if you're going to ask for it to be continued, you know, maybe the play is you go there with your updated evidence. You go there with evidence that you get a letter from her dean that says if she misses school this day. I mean, to me, that seems a little bit extreme. If I'm your wife, I'm going to the dean and saying, look, Trump's a fucking nut. I need to get my husband his green card. I can't come, and it's completely unfair if you don't let me graduate because I have to be gone for half the day. To me, that's worth going to the newspapers for. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's insane, and they haven't been flexible at all at her school. So I'm gonna try again.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, you might just want to go that day of your interview and tell the officer everything that happened, and ask them right then to reschedule it. But show up, bring your new evidence, say this is a legit marriage, because I think much more you can convey much more like I'd rather you go with an attorney and ask them to continue it, but I think going on the day of would be helpful, in that you can explain it a lot more than you can in a letter.
Yeah, that's what that's also I wanted to ask. I read that some people, if they really can't go, let's say like they move to a different state, they send an attorney the day of the interview with evidence. They put an
Yeah, I don't
attorney.
like that so much. I might get an affidavit from your wife too, and I think that's what I would do. I get an affidavit from your wife, talk about what dickheads the school is, and how they won't let her get out. To me, that goes a long way to explaining. I mean, basically, if you don't show up, if you ask for a continuance, or if you show up, I should do a video on this. Hina, remind me, this would be a good video topic. If you don't show up, or if you ask for continuance, I think that shoots you to the front of the line in the fraud unit.
I see. Yeah, and it's really infuriating because I can go and the timing would actually be great because April I might get approved before the summer. I can go home and visit, but they're not flexible at all. I mean, I think I will collect evidence about the school thing and then maybe I'll go there with an attorney.
Yeah. What field office is it?
St. Louis.
Oh yeah, we can go with you.
Yeah, I was thinking about. I live in Illinois, but it's the St. Louis. So I'll call you.
Awesome. Yeah, just let us know.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Goodbye.
Okay, bye-bye.
What BS that is. Nurse Laura says there's slave drivers there in the nursing schools. She had no voice and was shivering, but had to go and take care of patients. That sounds smart. I thought we moved past this stuff where doctors have to work 40 hours straight and nurses. I mean, what's the deal? Quality of life. Come on, people. This guy needs his green card. Nursing school is extreme, Laura reports. Goal. Hello, Goal.
Hello, Jim. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I don't know if you remember me, but the last week you told me in your show, I'm the one they didn't receive in the interview, so you tried to include me in your last week.
Oh, yeah.
You asked me for my receipt number for the I-130.
Yep.
But I checked, they never sent it to me. But they do add it at my account, USCIS online. And they do the same thing in my Wi-Fi account. But they sent the I-485.
Yeah. So I'm not going to file that lawsuit after all because there's already one on file and it was going to be bigger and stronger than mine. It's people that have done this a lot more than I have. So you're part of that other lawsuit, even though you didn't hire them. I'm going to email everybody and let them know that I'm not filing that lawsuit this week, but we decided to let them do it because they've got a good judge and they're happy with their venue. And so I didn't want to do anything to mess up what they're doing.
Okay, so for now, we just have to wait.
Just wait.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate for everything, man.
Bye, brother. See ya.
All right.
How's everybody doing? What's going on? This is the Immigration Answer Show. We're at about the halfway mark. My name is Jim Hacking. I'm an immigration lawyer. I actually dressed up today. I'm not just dressing up for the show or for making videos. I should make some videos. I'm sort of behind, but it's hard during Ramadan to make videos and do the show. And I was with my boys all weekend, so I didn't want to take time away from being with them to just make videos. So I'll make some this week. We'll get them back up and running. I also had a TikTok that went like 700,000 views over the weekend. So we'll post that bad boy up in YouTube today. All right, let's go over to TikTok. Speaking of, see what they got going on. Crazy Ann. I filed my I-130 visa. Would putting the K3 visa push my case faster? No, that's a myth. That doesn't work anymore. Eric, New York. Can I catch a flight to attend a fingerprint appointment if I overstayed my visa? Well, I would not do that. If you overstayed your visa, but you have a fingerprint appointment, I would either drive to where the appointment is, or I would go to the local fingerprint office and ask them to do it for you. You can do it anywhere in the country. But my bigger question is, why do you live far away from where the fingerprint appointment is? It should be near your house. Does it matter if I work in another state after I get my EAD approved? Depends on what kind of EAD it is. Depends on if it's a marriage case. I need more details on that. Liz Martinez says, my husband only speaks Spanish. For the interview, the I-130, will they ask him only in English? Generally, yes. You can bring a translator, but it's going to be sort of up to the officer as to how they want to handle that. Nana says, does applying for SNAP affect my immigration case? If you're trying to get an initial 2-year green card, yes, it does. Is a DUI with approved asylum subject to deportation? Probably not, although maybe it should be. I don't think right now a DUI, a single simple DUI with no injuries on an approved asylum case would get you deported. Daniela, what happens if my husband's visa expired, but we already sent the I-130 and the 45? Well, you need to make sure, Daniela, that that case gets approved, because if it doesn't, then he gets put into removal. And the way these guys are acting, they might be grabbing people at interviews pretty soon who are in to put them in removal. I have an N400 pending interview while I have a pending I-751. I don't know what will happen. Thank you, Hina. That's from SH. I have a video on this, probably 3 or 4 videos on this that talk about this very topic. Basically, SH, you have to be ready for anything. Go find my video, but you have to be ready. They might interview you on the N400. They might interview you on the 751. You have to bring your spouse. You have to bring updated marriage evidence. They might interview you on both. Or you might show up and they might say, we don't know what to do. You filed both of these and we're not sure how to handle all that. So anything's possible when you file both. You should file both. I'm glad you did file both, but that's the answer. All right. Robert and I are on the same page. DUI should never happen. I'm sorry to believe that with Uber. There's just no excuse. I completely agree, Robert. There's no excuse for DUIs in 2025. Arrive alive. Don't drink and drive in 2025. That's what I'm saying. Simon, the tight end. Hello.
Hey, Jim. How are you doing today?
How are you doing?
I'm doing very good. Beautiful day here.
For sure, for sure.
Quick question. So I have an interview coming up for March 25th with my wife for green card, basically the marriage-based green card application. So I had an arrest that happened like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Misdemeanor. There was a pistol in my car. I got in a car accident. But the case ended up being dismissed. Will this affect my overall case?
Are you the U.S. citizen or are you the beneficiary?
I'm the beneficiary.
And you said there was an accident?
Yeah, I got in a car accident and there was a gun in the car.
Oh, a pistol. I think you said a pistol.
Pistol, yep. No,
Okay.
pistol.
So you had an unauthorized weapon.
Yeah, it was registered, but it was not in the state that I was. So I live in Maryland. I got in a car accident in DC. DC, Maryland, and Virginia, they're like, adjacent, so you'd be traveling from one another.
Yeah, sure.
And that's why the judge decided to dismiss the case. But just wanted to make sure if that would affect me or not.
Well, I think you're going to have to explain it. And now, not every dismissal is the same. Did they drop it because they didn't think there was a charge, or they dropped it because you took probation, or what?
So they dismissed it. The case was dismissed. They made me do like a community work, and they dismissed it after that.
So I'd have to look at everything. You probably want to have an immigration lawyer look at all that, and you probably want to have a lawyer go with you to your interview. But generally, it sounds like it would be okay, but it's hard to know without knowing the DC, statutes and what you pled guilty to, what the range of punishment was. Generally, I think you're going to be admissible and it should be okay, but I can't guarantee that's the case without looking at everything.
Perfect. Yep. Just I have a meeting with one of your colleagues,
Okay,
lawyers, whatever.
Great.
I just wanted it's tomorrow, and I was just anxious, so I was like, let me just go jump in and ask. Yep.
Awesome. Thanks, Simon.
Thank you.
Bye, buddy. All right. That was Simon. Let's go to Rick. Ricky, don't lose that number.
Hey, Jim.
How you doing?
Hey, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. I just have a quick question regarding the N400. If somebody has received a quote-unquote citation from a red light camera, is that something that needs to be reported? It was in Maryland, so it's considered a civil thing.
I take the position that red light cameras are attached to the vehicle, not to the person, because they are attached to the vehicle, not to the person. So I believe that's not a moving violation and does not need to be disclosed.
Perfect. All right, thank you.
That was easy. All right, we're just soldiering on today. Lots of good questions, good calls so far. Let's go to AB. Hello, AB.
Hello, Jim. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Ramadan Mubarak.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. Quick question. So my parents are a green card holder, and I'm going to get them in April, and they've been out of the country for it's going to be 7 months by the time I get them. I just want to ask what to expect at the border, if there's anything to expect, and how to be prepared if you have any recommendations. Or
why have they been gone more than 7 months, more than 6 months?
Well, They had a lot of doctor appointments because the first time they came to the US, it was last April. So they still had some doctor appointments. I was supposed to go get them earlier, but I had an emergency surgery. So with the follow-ups and that set me back financially and with work and stuff, so I could not do it, unfortunately, before the months mark. And
When
that's the
is,
reason.
when is the 6 month mark?
It was March, I believe March 9th.
Okay, and why are you waiting one more month to go get them?
That's when I could go because of work and everything. That's when I could afford to go.
Okay. Based on what I'm seeing now, I think anything is possible.
Okay.
Anything is possible. So, I mean, I always warn people if you stay out more than 6 months. I mean, it's less than a year, so that's good. And so
Okay.
if I'm you, I would bring the law on the difference between 6 months and 1 year.
Okay.
And, I would bring evidence of your medical emergencies, how you were going to bring them and you couldn't. And I mean, you're just going to have to sort of hope they let you in. I don't know what they're going to do.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I just needed to ask because unfortunately a lot of things happened within the last few months, and that's what. And do you think if I bring their medical stuff from back home, that would help as well?
I don't think CBP officers are moved that much by people's medical records from overseas. I think they'd probably believe you either way. I don't know that they
Okay.
find it that compelling, but it can't hurt, I guess.
Okay. All
They're
right.
going
Well,
to do what they want to do.
I'm sorry. What was that?
They're going to do what they want to do. Where are you flying into?
I'm flying to DC.
Okay. Well, good luck. Let us know how it goes.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Bye, AB. Yep. Sunshine's back. Retroactive about incident that happened in 2012. No fingerprints taken, no handcuffing, no conviction, no records. Will it still affect my 45? Even my work permit got approved. Well, the fact that your work permit gets approved has no bearing on whether or not you're going to get your green card. So everyone should know that. Those two things are not related. I'd have to know more about the incident, but if there were no charges, I think that you're going to be fine, Sunshine. All right. Let's see. Let's go to Johnny. Hi, Johnny. Johnny.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. How are you?
Doing good, Jim. Thank you for taking my question. So, I have a question that might be a little bit more complicated. So, I have a friend, and basically, they're thinking of getting married in the future. They just got engaged, but there's some complication. I heard that I think the fiance of my friend ended up doing an interview in the U.S. embassy, and the fiance is basically the contact person in the U.S. is what happened. But when asked what's your reason for visiting, it says to visit somebody else, and then they ask the second question is asking about the guy, and they said, "Hey, who is this person to you?" And then the fiance just said, "My friend," instead of "my boyfriend." Would that be an issue, even if it's because the lady just got nervous and that doesn't know how to answer it, and or is that considered already a misrepresentation of some sort?
This is Jason. This isn't based on any documents you've seen. This is just based on how she explained to you what happened.
Correct.
Okay.
And correct.
Yeah. You go ahead.
Yeah. So that's basically what it is. It's more of the statement. It's a play-by-play of what happens. Like, hey, this is the interview. This is the first question. The second question is they asked me about this person, and I said it's my friend instead of my boyfriend, because I don't know how to answer it.
Yeah.
But
was that visa denied or approved?
it was denied. It was denied.
So here's what I'll say, Johnny. In my 18 years of being an immigration lawyer, 16 years, whatever it is, I've never seen them go back and look at prior visa applications more than they do now. So I would say that I think there's a 60% chance they say that's a misrepresentation and they're going to need a waiver.
Okay. So if that's the case, if they're planning to get married, a fiance visa is not viable. It's better for them to do spouse to do a waiver. Is that
I'm
correct?
I say to everybody right now, don't waste your time with a fiance visa. You might end up having to do it all over again, so you might as well go ahead and get married.
Okay, that's what
And
I thought.
for those people who may need a waiver, I think more likely than not might need a waiver. For them, I would definitely go the marriage route, not the fiance route.
And my friend actually, I don't know if this is gonna make things worse, but my friend also told me that they had a J1, and the problem is that my friend ended up working for a different company, and the company knew that this person is J1, but they ended up giving her a 1099. So in short, IRS would know. So that's another reason for them to reject anything, right? So it's 90% chance this person will need a waiver for a marriage green card. Is that correct? For a spouse visa.
This is the same girl. So basically, we have a lady back in the old country that does dumb things. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, are you saying that? So what job was she supposed to have on her J1? Do you know?
I believe it's some kind of
Like a nanny?
no, it's like a receptionist, something like that.
Like at a hotel?
Hotel, something like that.
So then she had this job, let's say at Marriott, and then she also like drove for Uber or worked at McDonald's or something like
yeah, something like that. Yep. And then they, instead of not officially working there, they ended up putting her on the IRS because she got a 1099, I think.
Yeah. So the big thing, Johnny, with this case, I mean, these people definitely need a lawyer because we're going to have to be really careful how we answer every question, right? Because the questions are phrased in a certain way, and we have to make sure we answer them right. The working without permission should be forgiven. She wouldn't need a waiver for that.
Oh, okay.
But she
no
does
waiver needed.
But she does need to disclose it, right? If she doesn't disclose it, then they hit her for misrepresenting on the answers to this fiance is overseas right now.
Correct. And to give you more timeline, I don't know if this is gonna make things better or worse, but the fiance, when applied for tourist visa, they are not engaged yet. They are just a boyfriend girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, so even if it's before the engagement, it's still a misrepresentation, is what you're saying, Jim?
Yeah, yeah. The U.S. Well, I mean, again, this is just you and me talking, right?
Correct.
But the U.S. citizen's name was on the DS 2019 for the visit visa as to the point of contact in the United States.
The fiance, correct.
And then when asked at the interview, the applicant said, "Oh, he's just a friend."
My friend. No, it's more of the phrasing is who is blank the name, and then they said my friend. That's it.
Yeah,
my friend.
Friend, right? So that's a close call. We'll have to see as it comes, but right now they just need to get married and get everything started because the waiver stuff comes later. But they need to start laying the groundwork for the waiver too. So it's going to be a long road to get this lady to the United States.
So I see. So my friend would have to marry her fiance. Pretty much is the first step. Is what you're saying.
Yeah,
and then worry about the waiver later. If
you can't do the waiver till they ask you, till they tell you that you're inadmissible.
Okay. And there's a good chance of the waiver being approved, or it has to be very hardship kind of thing.
It depends what the hardship is.
What if there's no hardship other than financially being separated?
That's not going to cut it.
Oh, so they need to have a bad situation happen.
So, I mean, I would take the position, she said my friend, and, a boyfriend is a friend. So I don't think it's the worst misrepresentation I've heard. I think the whole shooting match for that case is going to be convincing them that she doesn't need a waiver. If she needs a waiver and if the qualifying relative doesn't have any extreme hardship, it's going to be tough.
I see. And okay, that is understandable. So you're saying right now it's 50-50, depends on the reviewer of the process for now.
You see what Johnny did there? He's trying to improve the odds. He said 50-50. I said 60-40.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think it's more likely than not that she gets dinged for misrep under these circumstances that we're on right now.
I see. But you're not gonna say delay them getting married 4 years or so.
Oh, no. I mean, at least get everything started.
Oh, okay. So they can still get married. Don't wait 4 years for them to get married.
The petitioner is a U.S. citizen, right?
Correct.
Yeah, no, I'd go get married.
I think her fiance is U.S. citizen. Is
Yeah.
what it.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Johnny.
Thank you. Last question. Just to clarify, if you don't mind, or is it over?
Yeah, go ahead, bud. Go ahead.
Oh, thanks. So you said earlier K3 is not advisable anymore, or can they? Actually, the better question is, can I think they want to get married there. So can the U.S. citizen file online while they're still in that country, or the husband needs to go back here and then file and that stuff? And I believe they wanted to do the K3 as well, or
Waste of time. Waste of time. Waste of time.
waste of
Don't
time.
worry
So,
about it.
so 130, but go back here.
He can file the I-130 while he's overseas, as long as I mean, if he's going like a 6-week trip and he gets married on the 3rd week, he can file the I-130 before he comes back. You don't have to be physically present in the United States to file the I-130.
And do online? Do you advise online or just do the mail?
I like paper. I like paper, but for an overseas case, especially if they're overseas, an I-130 might work fine.
Understood. Thank you so much for all of your question that you answered and for doing this for the community, Jim.
Bye, Johnny. See you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
John Zimmerman asked me, is it still safe for someone with an H-1B and Canadian travel visa to travel to Canada and come back to the U.S.? Okay. So I'm going to say this again. If you are not a U.S. citizen, the advice of Hacking Immigration Law, the official position of Hacking Immigration Law is that if you are not a U.S. citizen, you should not leave the United States until September 30th of this year so that we get enough time to figure out all their tricks. They're pulling out different tricks every week. We don't know what shit they're pulling. So unless you can afford to be outside the United States for 6 to 12 months, you should not leave the United States if you are physically here. I've been saying the same thing since January 20th, and we're getting more and more news stories of people having problems, green card holders having problems, H-1B visa holders having problems. There was an H-1B doctor who went back home to Lebanon to get a stamp and see her mother. She got her stamp. She saw her mother. And when she came back, they put her butt on a plane back home. So unless you can afford to have that happen to you, where you're refused entry to the United States or refused a visa stamp overseas, unless you can afford all that, unless your job allows you to be outside the United States for 9 months, you should not leave the United States. You should not leave the United States. All right, let's go to TikTok, and then we'll finish out with a few more calls. Johnny's out of here. All right. Mark, I got a denied I-45. I filed an appeal. The reason is my divorce is not valid from Egypt. Yes, Mark, I would not have filed appeal. I would have filed for divorce in the United States, and I would have filed a new I-130 and 485. And that's what you should do right now. Filing an appeal on a marriage divorce that's not valid is never going to get you anything. You file an appeal because they made a mistake. JD, tourist visa holder married to a green card holder after 3 months. F2A filing is not current. Yes. You can file the I-130 and the tourist visa should go home before the 6 months are up. That's what your option is. Nay. Having Medicare for pregnancy and postpartum causes public charge. Got marriage-based green card. Yes, it sure does. If there's one thing that's a big deal with public charge, I saw somebody the other day emailed me. His immigrant visa got put on admin processing because 22 years ago, when he came to the United States to have the U.S. citizen who's now sponsoring them for the I-130, that person didn't pay their medical bill, and now they're not able to come to the United States. So they're going back 22 years to see if you paid your medical bill for the U.S. citizen who's now sponsoring you. That sounds like a TikTok. Remind me. That's a good one. Akbar Salah says, I shipped my RV package before the deadline, but USCIS is going to receive it a day after. Is that fine? Probably not. They'll probably deny you for that one. But you do get 3 extra days for mailing, so make sure. I just got married. My wife overstayed B1, B2. I filed 45, 693, 765, and I-130. Any other form I have to file? Yes, the affidavit of support, which is the I-864. You're going to get RFI'd for that. Probably need an attorney, especially if your wife's overstayed. Raghav Puri, what all the proofs should I provide for an I-751 divorce waiver? I have videos on this. Ragav, just check out our video. Basically, you have to prove up the marriage even more so than if you were still married. Sally asks, can a person who entered the board illegal without being paroled become U.S. citizen through marriage? Technically, yes. It's very hard. It's a long process. Trump will try to deport the spouse, and they'll need a waiver. So in theory, yes. We'll see if it works in real life in the years to come. Damn, that's Kayla. Damn, that's Kayla says, for marriage-based case for spouse and child, should I attend the interview too? If it's in the United States, you have to. If it's in an overseas embassy, you should not, and you probably won't even be allowed in. That's my answer. Damn, that's Kayla. I like that. Damn, that's Kayla. All right. King is here. Hello, King.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for whatever you're doing, the help to the community. I'm really grateful. So I got like a few questions. I'm a US citizen. I'm married to a student, she was in a nursing school. And then when she accepted for the proper nursing school, I thought it's like a F1 status, but later I came to know that it not considered as the F1 status. So I applied for her and it got denied like a week ago.
Applied for what?
Adjustment of status and I-130.
Why did you get denied?
I don't know. It's just like they couldn't find the legal status of her here. I thought like F1 is a status, but
How did she enter?
she was a student.
Well, doesn't she have an I-20? Doesn't she have a stamp in her passport?
Yes, she does. We submit everything, but I don't know, got denied. And within like denial notice, there was a part saying that if we want to reappeal or do the other thing, like either reapply with the adjustment of status again or 260 or something. I forgot the form.
I got you.
I mean, she had to leave the country, but she's graduating on this May, so I don't know what to do.
Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, as we sit here right now, you're 100% sure that you sent them proof of her valid entry.
Yes, sir.
You're 100% sure.
Yes, sir.
Number two, they denied the case without sending you a notice of intent to deny, right?
Yes, sir.
And you had no interview?
No.
Did they deny the I-130 and the 45 or just the 45?
45 only.
Is the I-130 still pending?
Yes, sir.
If you had an interview on the green card, where would it be?
Here, sir. I mean, I didn't get the. What was that? Can you repeat it again?
Yeah, what city? What city do you live in?
Oh, California, San Francisco.
You should call my office and say, I need you to sue them to reopen the case because they made a mistake, and we can get the case started back up.
Right.
Show them that they made a mistake, and then she doesn't have to leave, and you don't have to refile, and you don't have to appeal. It's a much better use of your money.
Oh, okay, that sounds perfect. I'll just and other thing, like after
Wait,
a couple of
just make sure say I'm King. I was on the Monday show at around the 52-minute mark. Okay.
Right.
When you email.
Sure. Got one more question. Like
Sure.
her EAD got like revoked after like a couple of things. I mean, a couple of weeks. So it can't work. Just reapply, or I just email you the things.
When we file the lawsuit, it's going to be like a time machine. We're going to go back and get all that turned back, like if it was never denied.
Oh, perfect. Okay, I'll just email you, Jim. Thank you.
Thanks, King. See you, buddy.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right. This is interesting. FI attorney, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. And we have what looks like a judge in the icon. Hello. You're on mute.
Hello, Professor.
How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Hello, Jim. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I have a question about re-entry permit and citizenship.
Okay.
So my story is like this. I'm an Asian. I'm living in Europe, and I got a 10 years green card with my family in July 2023. Then I come to US like every 5 months, and then I live like 2-3 weeks. Then I go back to Europe because I have a school there. I was studying, and after I got my green card, I applied for re-entry permit. Then that was approved on September last year. Now I have a 2 years re-entry permit. So my plan is now, next month I'm planning to come US like permanently. So what would be the like CBP? What kind of questions they may ask? And I have everything like address, documents like driving license, bank account, everything in US. I used to come like every 5 months. And my plan is now I want to come to US and settle down there.
Okay. So you said September of 23, right, is when you became a lawful permanent resident?
No, it's July 2023.
Okay, July. So let's say from July 2023 to July 2024, how much time did you spend in the United States?
Like maybe two months, maybe.
2 months out of 12.
Yeah.
And then from July 24 until now, how much time?
Maybe 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Okay. Yeah. So I think you're going to have to be like a lawyer and prove your case when you come into the United States. All right. So they're going to say, hey, even with a reentry permit, I think they're going to give you a hard time. They're going to say, hey, I mean, you got to know your rights and be able to explain things and advocate for yourself. I was legally allowed to leave the United States for up to 2 years. The reason I got it was because I was winding down my life in Europe. I'm now coming back to the United States. So I would have a stack of things that show what your plan is when you come back to the United States. In other words, I'm not going to be doing this 5 months gone in the United States for 2 weeks anymore. I'm done with that. And advocate for yourself to try to get in this one last time. And then once you get in, you can't be leaving again for a while.
Yeah. And to add on, I have another question. Like in this time, I my citizenship also, I have got citizenship from Europe, So do I have to mention that to the CBP when I enter? Because recently I have received my citizenship from Europe.
I don't think that's a particularly helpful piece of news. So I wouldn't bring that up unless they ask.
And what about the USCIS? Do I have to update?
No, only if they ask. Only if you're applying for something and they ask.
Because my plan is now my plan is like I have contact with the Army Recruiter Center, and I'm going for the like reserve Army Force, and also in a side by side I have talked with the University of Massachusetts for my LLM in law. So I'm doing side by side this kind of thing. So I am doing correspondence with them,
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. You want to have a stack of all the stuff that shows you're coming to live for good now. Good luck.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, I want to end with this one news story. I wanted to make sure you guys all saw this. So, and then we'll end with this for today. And then we'll be back tomorrow at noon Central. If you want to give us some hearts on TikTok or give us some likes, want to review us, review hackinglaw.com. We'd appreciate it. All right, here we go. All right. Brady Bartell and Camila Munoz had a familiar small town love story before they collided with immigration process. They met through mutual friends, had a first date at the local steakhouse, married after 2 years, and were saving to buy a house and have kids. Munoz was already caring for Bartell's now 12-year-old son as her own. But last month, on their way home to Wisconsin, after honeymooning in Puerto Rico, hello, not a foreign country, a commonwealth or a territory of the United States. People ask me all the time, Jim, is it safe for us to go to Puerto Rico? An immigration agent pulled Munoz aside in the airport. Are you an American citizen? Asked the agent. She answered no, she wasn't. She's from Peru. But she and her husband had taken legal steps so that one day she might get U.S. citizenship. Now, this reporter who wrote this article does not know much about immigration and does not very clearly state where exactly this person's immigration status was or what part of the process they were at. Millions of Americans, including Bartell, had voted for President Donald Trump's promise to crack down on criminal illegal immigrants. But 8 weeks in, the mass deportation effort has rapidly expanded to include immigrants whose application for legal status in the country is under review. Even those married or engaged to U.S. citizens are being detained by ICE, USA Today has learned. In addition to Munoz, then they list some other people who all had various forms of status and are now in deportation. None of the women has a criminal record, according to a USA Today review of national law enforcement records. All were in an ongoing legal immigration process and felt comfortable enough boarding a domestic flight. Immigration agents swept each of them up at airport checkpoints. Now, I think somebody smart named Jim said this freaking a month ago. Stay away from airports. Stay away from airports. Stay away from airports. That's where they check your visas. Neither ICE nor its parent agency responded to comment. The unfortunate thing is, there she is right there. They have to be worried. If you're not a citizen of the United States, or are you going through an immigration process, your first thought needs to be, how can this process be weaponized against me? How can this process be weaponized against me? That's the $1 million question. Her attorney said, anyone who isn't a legal permanent resident or U.S. citizen is at risk, period. They wore their wedding rings for the flight home, secure in the knowledge that the U.S. knew they had applied for her green card. She had overstayed her original visa, but they reasoned she had been vetted from the start, worked on a W-2, and paid her taxes. So now Mr. Trump voter got what he voted for. Got what he voted for. I feel sorry for them. I don't root for anybody to be in deportation. I don't take any satisfaction in this. But as Brother Malcolm said, the chickens have come home to roost. The chickens have come home to roost. We'll be back tomorrow on that sad note at noon Central. Noon Central tomorrow. Yep, noon Central tomorrow. We'll see you guys tomorrow at noon. Have a great night, and we'll see you then. Bye, guys.